You are Black in the Green Room on KBLA Talk 1580 with me, your host, Keith Underwood. And this is your spot for real talk about entertainment with entertainers, creatives, and showbiz professionals. Joining me in the room today is singer, screenwriter, and the director and producer of The Fantastic Voyage, which is a docu-series about the life and career of rap icon Coolio. TYME Johnson, welcome to the room.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. I'm honored.
Yes, thank you for being here. TYME, before we get into talking about Coolio, why don't you tell me a little bit about you and how you got started in this business, and how did that help to prepare you to take on this docuseries?
I started at a very young age. I started singing in nightclubs. I want to say I was like 12, 13, and taking dance lessons and, of course, singing in choirs and drama and debates, and going to college for, I took production, music production and video production to prepare me for doing music videos and for filming television and for filming feature films. So it's been quite a road. I've been in groups. I've sang with quite a few hip hop artists, including Coolio. I've sang with so many people that are well known, and written hooks, written songs. Did multiple scripts, movie scripts, all preparing me for becoming a director and a filmmaker.
Yeah. And you mentioned Coolio and doing some background and some singing for him. How did that come about? How did you first meet and start working with Coolio? I like that chuckle. There's the story there.
You went right for the meat of it, didn't you? Well, the way Coolio and I met was at an award show for, I think it was the American Music Awards, and I was a dancer. That was a background dancer for Hip Hop Hooray for Naughty by Nature.
Yes.
So that's where we met, and we became really close. We ended up moving in together.
Okay.
And yes,
you guys had a relationship.
Yes,
Okay.
we had a relationship, and that is where we had this relationship. He was about to get signed for his first album. He was about to get signed for It Takes a Thief. We lived together, and I was in a lot of the sessions where him and his family, his friends, his business partners would be writing at our house. So it was automatically that I would be included in that. And we ended up doing a song together called Dial It Jam, which was on 40 Thieves on Jerky Boy soundtrack, movie soundtrack. So that's how.
Yeah, and then your co-producer and the executive producer, of the documentary, Clyde Spoon, Colin, was a great friend of Coolio's, and then also his manager. How did the two of you meet?
Me and Spoon?
Yes.
Spoon and I met through Coolio.
Mm-hmm.
I met Spoon after me and Coolio linked up together, and Spoon was always there. Before I was there, he was always at the house. He was a part of Coolio. You didn't see Coolio without Spoon.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was an automatic integration of everyone coming together. It was like a family, with Coolio, with Spoon, with the different groups that they ended up having and creating under their umbrella. What was the name of it? Crowbar Management was the name of the company that they created.
Yeah, and they were childhood friends, right?
Yes, they were childhood friends. They grew up together. I don't know if they went to school together. I'm not sure about that, but I do know that they grew up together, and Coolio and Spoon lived together.
Okay.
Well, at Spoon's grandmother's house, I believe it was, for in Compton. So
Hmm.
yeah, they're childhood friends, and they ended up doing um, forming groups together, rapping together. They were DJs together. So this is like, them. They were in like several groups together,
Yeah.
and it was just automatic that Coolio and Spoon would just stay together. And once Coolio went solo, Spoon became his manager. He became not his main manager, but his road manager. But he took care of
Right.
so many things. It was just like, he was the second manager under Paul Stewart, which
Yeah.
was his main manager at the time.
What did you learn from their business relationship from watching their business relationship?
At the time, I was in a group called Time for Change, and I was with someone that was totally opposite of Coolio, with Paul Stewart. I can't remember the name of his was it Power Moves, something like that. Paul Stewart had he was signed. He had Def Jam. He was signed to Def Jam. He had a record label under Def Jam. But I was signed with another company called Total Track Productions at the time. So even though we were all, staying in this house in Long Beach, Coolio was signed to Paul Stewart, and he was with Spoon, and we were with Total Track Productions, which was DJ Quick,
Mm.
AMG, Second to None, Boss. So it was watching him, it was like, and watching them prepare Coolio for his big break. I was learning different parts of the business as well, just their writing styles, watching them, going to the studios with them. So I was learning things about the business, like, on his calls with his manager, his lawyer, who was Tony Abner at the time. I was in those conversations, answering the phone, receiving messages. So I was witness to all of this, all the way up into the actual end of the album. And I remember sitting in the office that we had. It was like a den, but we made it into an office. And I remember all of us sitting in there, Coolio, Spoon, his group, GAT, and we're just all sitting listening to Gangsters, not Gangsters Paradise. We're listening to It Takes a Thief from the beginning to the end. And this was before anything came out. And we're just like, this is it.
It was,
It was mad.
and that was early on.
That
Yeah.
was
And
that was early.
yeah, so we were talking a little bit about your relationship with Coolio and what you learned and what you also learned from watching the collaborations between him and his good friend and road manager Spoon Colin. How did you and Spoon come together to work on this docu-series? And how did Spoon know that you would be the right person to kind of helm this?
Right. Well, Spoon and I had, of course, it's been many years. Spoon and I had lost contact. I had still been in contact with Coolio over the years. And Coolio died. Everyone
Yes.
knows, unfortunately, he passed away September of 22.
Yeah.
And
And
he passed
what was his cause of death again?
fentanyl, I believe. It was a fentanyl
Mm-hmm.
overdose.
Yeah.
And we talk about all of that in the documentary. Um, Spoon and I hadn't been in contact for many years. And I remember going to the life celebration and getting back in contact with many of the people I hadn't seen over the years. I had left California, moved and learned a lot in New York, and came back and everything. Spoon and I got back in contact with each other on Facebook. And I saw that Spoon was doing a documentary on Coolio, and it was about Coolio's early years. And so I reached out to Spoon and I said, listen, now, there's no way you can have a documentary about Coolio without including me and the girls, because, we was right
Right.
there.
Right, right,
So,
right.
so he was like, okay. And at the time, Malik Strader, who, you may know him as an actor. He was actually in the 40 Thieves back in the day, the group that
Right.
Coolio and him had. He was actually the director helmed to do the project before I came on. Unfortunately, Malik passed away from cancer
Sorry to hear that.
about a year ago. While they were forming or doing the documentary before I came on. And Spoon had been watching and liking some of the posts that I had been making on Facebook about the different things that I was doing in the film industry, the different things I had done with my music career. And he sent me a message and was like, listen, I need to talk to you. He was like, I think that you would be the perfect person and I went to Malik's celebration and everything. He said, I think you would be the perfect person to actually do this documentary. He was like, you know his story. Like
That's right,
there's
right.
no way you won't get it wrong. He said, you know his story, you're a talented director. I was like, I'd be honored. I couldn't see. I mean, why would I say no to that? So yeah, absolutely yes.
Yeah.
So
the project is currently still in development. Where's the team now in the creative process? Where are you guys now with everything?
now we are gathering the interviews. We have some already finished. We're gathering interviews, but it's kind of like, you know how you're going through that production, pre-production, like it mixed in. So we're in production, but not really 100% in production yet. I'm doing some interviews and I'm, just doing storyboards of what I want as far as the director, my vision. So it's kind of still in the beginning stages and I'm taking my time. I've already put together basically how I want it to look, but it's still kind of in the beginning stages of production.
Yeah.
Organizing the interviews and all of that.
Who are some of the people that you've interviewed so far, and who are you planning on interviewing?
So my main focus is to interview people that no one really knows about, like the people that were there before Coolio was Coolio. The people that were there before he got his big break. For example, some of the groups that he was in. He was in WC in the Mad Circle, and even before that, there were several groups that he was in with like people like Richie Rich, and it's just so many things that people don't know about Coolio and how he started. He was one of the first rappers. Him and Spoon, they were one of the first groups to form in like 1979. So he was like the beginning of hip hop on the West Coast. He was one of the first people to really.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people moved from New York and moved to Compton and educated them on how things were going down in New York. And they're like, hey, I think we like this.
Right.
And then they were discovered by a guy named Rory on K-Day back in the day. And Coolio ended up going first he went with the Mad Circle, and then after the Mad Circle, he ended up going solo. So we're going to be interviewing some of those groups, the people that he was in groups with. We're going to be interviewing people that helped him get his start, like Paul Stewart. Paul Stewart is actually going to be interviewed as well as being the music supervisor for, which comes full circle for us because he was the main manager that really helped Coolio get his break. So he's got a great deal to do with this documentary as well. Just, people that were there from the beginning. And we're also going to be interviewing people that were there during the Gangsta's Paradise era, and also people that were there that saw, the things that could have been done a little better to keep his legacy going throughout the years. So it's gonna be all right.
Tell me a little bit about the feel or the vision that you have for the documentary.
I want people to enjoy. We have a lot of footage, which I was like in heaven looking at all this footage we have. So we have a lot of footage from, thanks to Spoon, back in the day. Every time he would go on the road, or they would do some kind of meeting, or if they would go on like the Jon Stewart show, for example, he would always record everything. So we have so much footage of just those days, or them just sitting in a green room, just talking about each other. You know, back in the day when the guys got together, it was all about, man, your mama's so skinny. You know, so we have all of that good stuff, and just watching that magic is motivating me to show people that side of entertainment, the what happens behind the scenes whenever they're on the road. They're going to see all of that, and I still want to make it still have that like a movie feel to it. I don't really want to talk too much about the vision like that.
It's all good. I gotta ask.
Yeah,
So,
it's gonna be magic.
So, you kind of touched on a little bit about, how they would joke around and that kind of stuff in the green room. And oddly enough, in the teaser that I saw, one of the first things I saw was Marlon Wayans on stage, making a joke about, Coolio's passing. How did you and Spoon receive that? And was it part of the motivation for kind of, preserving or showing a positive outlook on Coolio's legacy?
We both saw it separately. When I saw it, I love Marlon Wayans. When I saw it,
absolutely,
I laughed. I didn't take it personal at all. I laughed. I thought about what Coolio would think about, knowing him very well. He would have looked at the screen and he would have giggled. That would have been his reaction from that. He would have used it just like we did. He would have used it. When Spoon saw it, remember, Spoon is his brother.
Yes.
Not blood brother, but this is his brother.
Yes, absolutely.
Spoon is, they were very close, and brothers fight. They don't always get along.
That's right.
So for Spoon, he was like, time. Man, he was like, he wasn't happy about it.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy about it. He was more like, man, why? Like, I don't appreciate anybody saying that about my brother. He's like, if anybody gonna say it, it's gonna be me, but it's gonna be to make sure I straighten him out.
Right.
So Spoon wasn't too happy about it in the beginning. I never took it that way. I just felt like Coolio was always someone that kind of laughed stuff off.
Right.
So I could see him laughing at it and be like, okay, whatever.
Yes. I mean, it's funny because even the way that Coolio, chose to style himself, it was about a little bit about the spectacle as well as his talent. So I can see him laughing at something like that.
And to share a moment with you, when Coolio and I first met, I was working. I had just got like one of my first jobs, and I was like, I'm working. And he came to pick me up. He came to have lunch with me, and we were in the elevator. He already had the braids.
Right. The antenna.
Oh God. And we got in the elevator. And I was working over at the Disney building in Burbank. And we get in the elevator together, and these people are like, he's no one at this point. So they're all looking at him like, what is that? And I'm looking like, oh God, why does he have to wear his hair like this all the time? And he sees my reaction and he sees their reaction, and he's just loving it. He's cracking up, and big smile on his face. If I was white, I would have been red, okay? And loving it. So he always had a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
That was just a moment.
Yeah, TYME, what is the most common misconception about Coolio that you hope to dispel in this documentary?
I think there are a lot of things that are on the internet that are not 100%. Like they're inaccurate. So what we've been doing is we've been seeing them, like Spoon will see something and he'll send it to me and he'll be like, that never happened, or, this never happened. So we're going to go down the list of the things that we're seeing that's being said about him now, and we're going to conquer that. Like, I'm still trying to understand where they got this thing where he was born and raised in Pennsylvania. Like, I've never known that. The only person that was born and raised in Pennsylvania was Billy Boy, and Billy Boy was part of the Philly Thieves. And he sounds so much like Coolio on the one song they did called "I Remember." Everybody thinks it's Coolio. So I think that's one of the myths we want to dispel. But there's several that we're going to attack in the film.
TYME, what's next for you after the documentary?
I really had not plans on doing documentaries. I'm more of a feature film girl.
Right.
But this was necessary. So I'm into writing. I'm a filmmaker. So I write the films, I write the scripts, and I film. So next will be feature films. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, feature films. And I mean, if I see something that it really sparks my interest again, I'll do another docu-series or another documentary. It's just, I feel like I need to do what's needed. Like for this one, I really want to be able to not only tell people about, and the thing about it was Coolio's not getting the recognition that he should get. So that inspired me to do the docu-series as well. Him being one of the greatest artists of the 90s. He commercialized hip hop in the 90s. He was one of the main people that did that. And for him not to be getting that recognition that he deserves was really a motivation for me to do this docuseries. So it would have to be something like that. And I always like to be able to show something or a lesson that in everything that I do, in any movie, teachable moment every time. I'm always, one of my writing instructors always said, "What's the point of it?" There's got to be a point to it. If you don't see the end point to it, then you're wasting your time.
I love that.
So, yes. Yeah. So that's anything you see me do.
Yes. TYME, where can everybody find out more about you and the documentary?
So we will be posting as we go along. We'll be posting more things on my website, TYME Johnson. No, it's not TYME Johnson. It's TYMEproduction.com, and that's without the S. So TYMEproduction.com is my website. And you can also check me out on Instagram. My handle is TYME, TYME __, and we will keep you abreast there as well. But TYMEproduction.com is the main place.
All right. TYME Johnson, thank you so much for joining me on Black in the Green Room. This has been a pleasure. And just keep us updated on what's happening with the Coolio docuseries.
We will. I will. Thank you so much for having me, Keith. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
For more information on upcoming guests and shows, please check us out on Instagram at Black in the Green Room. You can also follow me on IG at Mr. Keith L. Underwood and FB at just Keith L. Underwood. Until next time, this has been Black in the Green Room.